welcome back to the Book and Life podcast. And today we are going to have steamy, hot, tantalizingly good interviews. Wait till you hear exactly what we've got on store for you today. I am sure you girls will be reaching for your wine glasses and your fads going, "Ooh, it's hot in here." And it'll be all worth it at the end. But before we get into that, and you get to meet the sensational author who wrote those To Die For novels, I am going to read you the advert that we do for Marianne Curley, and it's for the Time Guardian Book 1 series, and the book's called The Shadow. The battle is over, the war is won, the prophecy complete, but life can't just pick up where it left off for Ethan. Struggling to cope with tragic loss, at odds with friends in the guard, he finds himself adrift, jumping at shadows and sensing someone who can't possibly be there. Blaming herself for the goddess Athena's death, Giselle swears revenge and fulfills the immortals' plan for world domination. But Giselle hadn't planned on love, and that leaves her with an unbearable choice. Should she follow her heart, or the strings of a goddess, short on praise but high on expectation, who continues to pull her from the grave? As the Guard and the Order battle through the past and into an impossible future, darkness lurks around every corner. The fight for the world's survival rests with just one. Is it friend or foe? Who stands in the shadow? And this is also just a reminder that The Price of Freedom by Rosemary Rowie, and it's one of her Roman British crime series, is being a portion of the royalties. In fact, I think it's all the royalties are being donated to the Ukraine refugee crisis. So make sure you go and pick that book up. Even her agent donated her commission fee for that. So make sure you help support where you guys can in this tragic time. Now on to happier, steamier, lovely things. Let's welcome the stunningly gorgeous Ellen Mint.
Hello, thanks for
right.
having me.
Please
yep,
tell me.
Ellen Mint.
I get it wrong
a
lot.
Yeah, I understand.
I always forget to check before I start.
That person! Welcome whoever they are!
Scottish. Yep. I just take a run at it, and I'm like, if I get it right, I get it right. If I get it wrong, well, oh well, you know. But no, you were someone that just stood out to me. I was sort of going through lists of authors and going through websites trying to find, good authors I can have a laugh with and a joke with on this site, because sometimes you take people on and it's like, how am I gonna spend, what am I gonna talk about with this person? So with you, I was like, oh, fellow erotic author, we're good. So and that's the thing for me. I wrote Summer of Him was my last erotica novel, and it was, I've kind of been that sports romance writer for a while, and I was looking to get out of erotica, but every time I try to get out of erotica, I always get asked to come back, and it's like,
pull you back in. It's
do you
the
have that same problem?
I have to bounce around. I do like pretty much anything that catches my attention, because if I try and tell my muse what it wants to do, that is bad.
Because it
works. It'll just like attack me. So I will write. I will say almost all of my books are steamy. That is one thing I always include, because I can. It's fun. I like doing it. Like, it's really rare for me to not include a steamy scene, even in like short stories.
Yeah, it's like I'm actually trying it. I'm doing a heartwarming book. So it's not got, and I was like trying to like almost handcuff myself today, because I was writing their first kiss, and I think that's like a big thing in every romance novel we all write.
Yeah.
Is the big kiss has got to be like, and I was like so in my head, so I try and get it out the way fairly soon, because like then that way I can relax in the story a little bit, and the readers can relax in the story a little bit, because here we go. It started.
They did get together, I promise.
Yeah, like it's just a nudge, It's a nudge to say, hey, we're on the path. Stick with me. So with you, you've got two books. You've got one that comes out tomorrow. We're recording
Mm-hmm.
this on the 20th of June 2022. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that, and then we can talk about the book that's coming out nearer to the time of when this podcast is?
Okay.
Oh, that was hard to
Tomorrow.
say.
Yeah. Tomorrow of tomorrow of tomorrow. The book I have coming out is Badge, and it's the doing math fourth book in my Coven of Desire series, which is a reverse
Okay.
harem paranormals, and that means that there's at least like if you never read reverse harem, that means there's at least three guys, sometimes more. Hint hint. But this is a story about Layla, who is a she's just a normal average nursing student, but then Halloween night, which happens to be her birthday, she comes home and finds a nearly naked man in her living room, and he says he's an incubus. She doesn't buy it at first, but she figures might as well have some fun with him. And then crazier stuff starts happening. She gets this crazy spell book, and it turns out she's actually a witch, and everything kind of snowballs from there. In the first full book,
As it does.
called Claw, in Claw, she finds out that the incredibly hot fellow nursing student she's been crushing on, named Calvin, is actually a werewolf, and there's a huge like fight with the werewolf pack, and everything kind of goes crazy after that. Uh, Currently, it also includes Daniel, who is a library ghost. He actually used to be in a punk band when he died in
Okay.
the 90s in the library. So he's been trapped there for about 30 years or so, and she finally kind of pulls him out and helps him. And now at this point with Badge, Layla's just been finally found out by the witch hunters and been kind of like seeding them for a while. So basically, all three of her guys have to gang up together in order to save her, which they don't always get on so well.
Doesn't that sound like every man, though? Like, none of the men tend to get together. Well, but you stick
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of women in a room and we get on like gangbusters until it's
Yeah.
like comes down to love, and then we're all like, hey, gloves off, you know?
Yeah.
Ring that bell. Here we go.
Ink in particular,
So what?
he's so, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Oh,
I was gonna say, what inspired you to write this series? What was sort of like the bing moment, as we all put it?
uh, I think I really like the idea of just playing in my own world. I've always really loved mythology and building off of, especially history, because you can really kind of play if you know just enough of history to kind of build your own societies and stuff. And in particular with Ink, who was the first one I started with, first guy I added, he's kind of a really fun, charming, sarcastic rogue type. And I'd say I partly like Lucifer from the series Lucifer. He's got that vibe going where you think, oh, he's super selfish and all for himself, but then he does something like really helpful, but he acts like he just did it because he felt like it, and you don't really know what he wants. And that part's just fun.
I
Also,
like that. A little bit of a bad boy going on there.
yeah, and he will just randomly needle people. I think one of my favorite things with Ink is that I started this weird thing where he just likes random food. Like he will add the weirdest things to food. Like he'll just eat a bowl of bouillon cubes because he feels like it. He'll just do whatever he wants.
I like that. I do. I really like that. I think it's very unique, and we need that uniqueness to come out into the
Mm,
world a little bit more. So I like that. So what about your upcoming book? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
uh, the one coming out tomorrow or in October.
The one in October.
Oh, in October. Okay. That one is then the fifth book, which I actually just started editing, called Wings. And that one will add the fourth member of the coven, as I'm calling it, to the relationship. And he's a big old marshmallow angel. He's basically kind of the
Aw.
sweet himbo who's like, just absolutely adorable and sweet, but this giant guy with a huge sword that also has a tiny kitten.
I like that huge sword, but yet like a kitten. I
Mm-hmm.
just think, oh, ooh, sharp, pointy thing. Never know what he'll do with that sword. That's a conversation topic.
Yeah. On the other side of things, I'll also have a book coming out in Christmas that's just a MF, and it's kind of more contemporary. It's set in a cafe with like a Grump Sunshine, and it's actually my first age gap story as well. It's not super huge. He's like almost 40, she's almost 30, kind of a thing. And it also includes my first teenager, where he's adopted his niece and trying to raise her.
Right.
And then she sort of wanders in because her car broke down, and he gives her a job, and they help out. It's set around Christmas, and there's this whole mystery because it's called the Mistletoe Latte, where everyone, like a huge horde of people, keep coming in demanding this mistletoe latte, and Nick absolutely refuses to make it. Like, he just gets so mad if anyone asks for it. So the book is kind of figuring out, for the reader to figure out why, what's going on, what pushes his buttons as they fall in love.
I like the sound of that one as well, actually. I love the title. It's so warm and fuzzy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So what inspired you to write that one? What would you say sort of led you down that one?
Honestly, like, the collection that it'll be in is called Wanted Mistletoe, so I was just thinking, what can I do with mistletoe? And then I like the idea of doing a coffee set one, one set in a cafe and doing something with coffee, and kind of a more cozier, trapped in place kind of thing for Christmas in particular. And then definitely the inspiration for Nick was Luke from Gilmore Girls. I can't even deny it. Like, I just started writing him, and he was so Luke. That sort of gruff.
It's weird. I'm a Gilmore Girls fan too, so I'm right there with you. I was like, when are these two going to get together? I mean, come on.
I know. It took forever,
because I actually binged all of it with my partner. Like, we just so for like 2 weeks and binged the whole thing. I think he kind of like gets sick and tired of my binging a little bit, because he'll be like, "What are we watching tonight?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I found this," and he's like, "Oh." He's watched every NCIS from the first episode to the latest.
Yeah.
Bless him. So he's my binge partner in crime.
He needs like little trophy stickers for "you survived an NCIS marathon."
Well, I mean, I hadn't planned. I was looking for something that was like guyish. Is the only way to explain it. Because my partner's, he's like the motorbike driving, rough and tough kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, well, what on earth do I watch with somebody like him? And then it was like, oh, I know. I will watch, we'll try NCIS or something like with guns and explosions and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we tried LA, and it was just like, he was like, oh, this isn't too bad. He got behind Gibbs, and he kind of got into it a little bit. And then I added in LA, and he was like, oh, but we tried New Orleans, and neither of us liked New Orleans. So we just kind of continued on. And the next thing he knew, he'd seen the entirety of it. And I'd done it with Gilmore Girls, I did it with NCIS, I did it, like, I bought the DVDs. That's how, we were going to do this. And then I made him watch Good Wife from the first episode to the last. So he's seen, like, all of them as well. So yeah, he does kind of deserve a trophy every year saying, you survived, like, all these TV series. Because I like binging TV. I'm not a big binge feature films. I don't particularly like that. He does that, but I don't. So if he's got a day off, then he just like sets up all these like movies and then he watches them all. So I'm like, yeah, especially now he's got like Netflix and Amazon and stuff. So, but yeah, no, I write when he does that. So, what about about you? Have you got a binge-worthy partner that you sit and you watch everything with?
Yeah, we actually tend to like round eight, like about 2 or 3 hours before bedtime. We have a very hard bedtime because our dog goes to bed at 10, and there's no breaking that. But we'll sit and watch. Lately, we've been binging anime. It's kind of a nice, fun thing to just
Oh,
have
okay.
on because if you don't pay attention, they always recap pretty much everything at the beginning of the episode. And we've been going through One
Yeah.
Piece lately, which is fun and crazy and weird. And we've done like Black Butler, which I'll admit Sebastian was also some inspiration for Ink for that like charming demon. And you don't know what the heck he's up to the whole time. And pretty sure it's bad, but you still want to find out.
I'll give you that. My hubby found anime, this anime site where you can watch all of it online,
Crunchyroll, maybe?
and that's what he watches at night when he goes to bed. It's just
Mm-hmm.
he clicks on that site and that's him. He's gone for like the entire night. So I just go, oh, okay. But we only like do he only does that if we're not watching Riverdale or like
Mm-hmm.
if we one of our shows isn't on. And summer's really bad time for this, not having shows on. So he'll tend to watch more anime during the sort of the summer months, and then when it hits like autumn, he's like, "Okay, Crystal,
Yeah.
what we got for tonight?" You know. So he's kind of he's used to my little wandering stages where I kidnap him and force him to watch stuff. So tell us a little bit
Fall's a good
about you.
snuggling time.
So like where you're from and your books you love and just about you. What do you want us to know about Ellie or Ellen?
About me.
I feel like calling you Ellie because it's like a really awesome
You can call me Ellie. It's fine. I don't care. I am from
name. I have a
Nebraska.
tendency to nickname people, so
Oh, I do that too. Although mine are like random. I can't control it. It just happens. I'm from
I'll
Nebraska.
go with that.
Yeah. My background is actually in animal science when I did some molecular genetics work, so I know quite a bit about that kind of stuff. Just and I married a food scientist, so we always joke that it's like we kind of got from the animal to the plate kind of thing because we know way too much about food.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a
Hmm.
bad thing.
I have one dog that I named after Granny Weatherwax from Discworld, although she is 100% a Magrat because she just is codependent as all get out. I was hoping maybe Granny might imprint a little, and boy, did that not happen.
Pets have a lovely way of doing that to you.
Hmm. As far as what books I like, I am pretty eclectic. I definitely like sci-fi, fantasy, and that shows in my writing as well because I really like to do paranormal and I've done one sci-fi romance. I want to do more. It's just timing. I need time. And
Yeah, because
I've
you really
also
need to make sure the science works as well.
it depends. That is
Are
always the
we stretching
danger.
it a little bit?
It's like if you know too much science, it's almost hard to write it because like, oh, this absolutely won't work. Like, I can't really do anything or like take anything with genetic stuff seriously in sci-fi because I know it's like, yeah, that's not how that happens. Like if anyone starts
Oh,
in
I get that.
with the whole, ooh, we made this like important human by adding another chromosome, but it's like, okay, but adding another chromosome just means you made like a donkey. Like another chromosome doesn't mean anything special.
Yep.
Or all of the when people got
I
stuck
kind of
on
yeah.
junk DNA and it's like, no, that's not a thing. I mean, it's complicated.
What did you think of? I don't know if you saw it, but a Discovery of Witches used genetics and DNA and chromosomes to explain the differences between sort of the creatures. So witches and witches,
Hmm.
vampires, demons, that kind of thing. So they said that all of our genetics are connected through this one piece, and I'm sitting there going, something doesn't sound right, and I couldn't put my finger on it. So
I mean,
yeah, I'd love to hear your opinion on that sometime.
there are common ancestors, like that kind of makes sense. It's okay. I'm gonna go kind of into
Yeah.
genetics nerd stuff here. There's this one gene that I absolutely love. It's called Sonic Hedgehog, and it's called Sonic Hedgehog because geneticists were playing around with embryonic development, and they found these three genes that, like, when they turned them off, would cause spikes to appear in a mouse. And so they named them after the three known hedgehogs. Then they found a fourth, so they were out of hedgehog types. They called it Sonic Hedgehog, and that turned out to be very important for embryonic development. So there are like tons of genetic papers about Sonic Hedgehog. But anyway, the reason that the reason mice can develop spikes is because of a previous genetic ancestor. So we all kind of, DNA is very conservative. Like, it keeps all this stuff just because it can. Like, and you kind of get this weird thing where stuff will turn on and off, sometimes tied together. Like, humans and guinea pigs are the only mammals that don't make vitamin C. I don't know why it's tied to that, but we are little weirdos in that sense. Like, we're the only two. That's actually why there's so much research done on guinea pigs, because they don't make vitamin C like we do.
That actually kind of makes a lot of sense. I'm sitting here going, okay, like I get now why, yeah. Also, it explains why every guinea pig hated me. Most humans hate me, so tying it together here.
You need to give them some more vitamin C. Just give them a nice carrot or something. They'll like you.
I met my friend's guinea pig. All I did was open the door for her. She was gonna feed it, and I swear I just turned the latch, pulled it open, and next thing I knew, I had like a guinea pig hanging off my hand, and I'm thinking, ow, ow. And I'm saying to my friend, get it off, get it off, get it off. My friend's like, you're such a wuss, Crystal. So she just sort of nudges it off and just kind of goes, and I'm sort of sitting there looking at my hand going, I got teeth marks. I got bloody teeth marks. So, yeah, maybe I just needed something vitamin C to make sure I don't get bit next time. I wish that was the first guinea pig story I had, but any farm animal seems to have a thing for me. I get chased by a rooster, I've been chased by a ram, I've been chased by a cow. I would hate to meet a bull, because I'm pretty sure it would chase me. So I'm just like, I've had a horse chase me. Everything that's supposed to run away from you, chase me.
Maybe you have some you angered the ancestor animal, and now they're all coming after you.
I have no idea. I never bothered any of them. Never had anything to do with them. As soon as I walked on a farm, that was it. We don't like her. Okay. It's the same if I go in the ocean and there's any seals about. I get chased. My friend thought this whole story about me and barn animals was ridiculous, so we went swimming in the water one day just down by our house. And this plinkett seal took such a loving to me. I couldn't swim in that piece because he would just swim underneath me, pop me up, then he would drop me back into the water, and he would swim away, come round, nibble my toes, stick under me, throw me up in the air, and let's get on all friggin' day.
Maybe that's it.
Every
Maybe
time
they
I
all
got in the water, this thing did this to me.
They all love you. They just have to get near you. And
what it was. I was always speechless. Dogs love me. Cats love me. Everything else, well, my horses used to love me. But anything else, they're like, no, let's go chase her. Why? No idea. Now you've just had a very weird look into the wonderful life of Crystal. Always getting chased by really random things.
All the animals just want to be with you.
I have managed to make my guests laugh, which is always a good start. So, getting into the book topic that we all enjoy, what's the book that you've read the most recently that stuck with you the most, and can you tell us why?
Um, this is probably gonna make me sound like a total dork. I've been rereading Cyrano de Bergerac. I have a reason.
All
I'm
right.
planning on doing an um kind of version of it, and I don't know. It's just one of those plays that I
Right.
really
Okay.
like. I've I've always had a soft spot for Christian. In my mind, he's like the perfect himbo because I kind of hate how so many adaptations turn Christian into the villain because he's just kind of there and he's like, I'm
Right.
pretty and I'm nice and I really like this girl and I just need help and can you help me? And he tries so hard. It's almost like I feel like that's
He
why
does
Cyrano
get
helps
totally
him.
misunderstood.
Yeah. And what I want to do is I want to do a version where Cyrano falls for Christian, but then he's still, he still kind of winds up helping because he wants Christian to like him, even though he knows he can't
Okay.
have him, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I,
I like that. I've recently been and this is gonna make me sound like a geek. I have actually been reading. It's totally gone from my mind. I just read a cowboy novel by Diane
mm-hmm.
Parma, which was really good. But I've also been reading the Kelly Armstrong's Werewolf series. I don't know if you know it. So that's the two that I've been reading, and honestly, like the Diane one stuck with me. Totally, like
Mm-hmm.
weirded me out for like a couple days, and then I read like um, Bitten, the first two, and Stolen just so creeped me out because it was like a scientist. This
Mm-hmm.
demented scientist wanted to make werewolves or this like total strong human that
Mm-hmm.
was like had powers and that could live forever kind of idea. And I was just so creeped out. I'm like, oh, because I'm thinking to myself like I'm a medical mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Any doctor that has anything to do with me says, "Oh my God, you're complicated," and they either do one or two things. One, they run away
Uh-huh.
and go, "Oh my God, never going near this person again," or two, they see me as a challenge, and then
Mm-hmm.
they get really into trying to help me. So there's two options usually, and I was thinking to myself, I'm a medical mystery. If this guy found me, figured out I was a mystery, I would get kidnapped. Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like I totally imagined myself getting kidnapped for like 3 days. I was like checking the doors and stuff behind me and everything. Oh, the joys of being a writer when you read, because then you think of all these crazy scenarios that you can get yourself
Yeah.
into, and yeah, freaky.
If any fellow writers want like a little suggestion, if you want to do like an immortality kind of thing,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
should
yeah, I
look
can
into
still hear you.
telomeres because it's thought.
So, if you had an infinite amount of time and you could just sit and read and enjoy anybody, who would it be and why?
My first thought is probably the saddest one of Terry Pratchett, but
You're not the first or the last
I
person to say
yeah
that on this show, so you're
I gotta
fine. Don't worry
storm
about it.
into heaven first. That actually, it's funny because I have this weirdly deep connection in a way because when I first met my husband, I was almost that like can't date kind of thing because it was our senior year of college. I was planning on
Mm-hmm.
going to another state in order to do master's work. He was going to stay there, and it was like there's no reason to date anyone. I'm leaving in a year, and then I found out his favorite book is Reaper Man, and it was just like that's my favorite Pratchett book too, and it was like I can't not date you. And then
Gotta see where it's going.
our first Christmas, he gave me two of the witches books. I'd only read Weird Sisters because I love Macbeth, and it was just like, ooh yeah, I love that one, and I love Death. So then I kind of jumped to Death because the great thing about Discworld is you can jump around wherever you want to go, and it was like he gave me two books and two books that I loved, and So we've always had this like connection with Discworld, and that's also why our dog is named Granny Weatherwax and all that.
I just love that your connections books. Like,
Yeah.
I have to kind of nudge my husband to read, so I have books to talk to him about. But it's
Believe it or
lovely
not,
when you get that.
my husband actually reads all of my books.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's like my alpha reader. He gets them right after I finish writing them. It's kind of like my way of also making sure they're like super backed up. So it's like they're on his computer, they're on my computer, they're on various other places that they're saved. But yeah, he reads all of them.
That's amazing. My
Yeah.
partner only read one of my books, and that was with like a nudge. And then he turned around and said, "Could we not have deleted the first 100 pages, Crystal?" Like,
Helpful.
no, that's the YA lead-in. Like, and then I had
Mhm.
to explain how it worked. It's like, oh, why did
I'm
I
not
do it?
looking for I'm not looking for criticism, just praise. Just
That's
That's
exactly
your
what I
job.
was, but no, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't quite get that. So is there an author, past and present, who you would say has influenced you, inspired you, made you excited, A, about reading, and B, about writing? Who is it and why?
Ugh.
It's a bit tougher, this one.
Yeah. Oh, my brain is breaking. It's way too hot here. um,
Yeah, it's like 19 here. So,
yeah, it's
19
going to be
degrees.
100 here in Fahrenheit, which I think is like 42 and so. No, maybe not
Yeah.
quite 42 and so. Something like that.
32, 33, so
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's bad.
that's hot. That's hot for Nebraska.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah, especially
LA
in
weather.
June. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like now it's been bad. It was like 105 last week.
Wow.
Yeah,
I hope it's not that hot at night, though, because you can't sleep when it's that hot.
we've lucked out so far. It's dropped down to like about 75, 76-ish at night, so it's not too bad. But like in August, it can just stay 80 and then just
Wow.
rise up during the day. Yeah, it's bad. It's been bad here.
That's when you invest in like fans and air conditioning and stuff.
Mhm.
Like you
Oh,
guys are all lucky. You've got air conditioning houses. We don't have air conditioning in Scotland. It's
Oh, I
like
know.
open a window, have the fan flying at full whack, and just hope for the best.
Like you
But,
can't survive in this Great Plains area without central heating and central air because it gets so cold and so hot, and there's nothing. We get like
Nothing you
maybe
can do about it.
5 or 6 days that are nice tops. That's it.
Oh, I know these feelings. I grew up in Shetland where we actually had cyclones that would
Yep.
surround the island. And, the winds would pick up on the island and we would all look at each other and go, oh, it's only 55 miles an hour,
Mm-hmm.
Or we'd go, oh, 60. Yeah, school's shut. 60, they'd shut the school. Now it's 70, so I feel bad for the kids because they have to wait till
Oh.
it hits 70 and you can see them watching it, their little faces, they're watching the little thing going, come on. Like, it's not going to get there. But yeah, like, we get the cyclone, so I know the wind thing. I lived
Yeah.
with the wind.
Yeah.
I had my first earthquake in LA, which scared the hell out of me. My husband slept through it. He actually slept through the whole thing. I jumped out of my bed. I was bracing the door going, oh my god, Ian, get up. No. And he rolled over my bed. I'm like, what do you mean no? Fucking earthquake.
I know if we ever have an earthquake here, that is like the big one, and everything is going away. That's
Yep.
like Yellowstone exploded kind of earthquake.
Oh gosh. That must be scary though. Like, because you're like one of
Yeah.
the few people I could turn around and say, do you understand what it's like to live in a really, really windy place?
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
It's funny because when I was waiting in line at one point, someone who was kind of doing security we were outside and they were just like, I just moved here and it is so windy and you guys don't understand how windy it is. And yeah, it's like we don't notice the wind until it's like maybe 40, 50 miles an hour. Otherwise it's just like, it's breezy. It's nice. Like it's almost
Yep.
disturbing when there's no wind because it's like that usually means a big storm is coming. So if there's
Yeah,
no wind,
you're
it kind of
usually
freaks
like,
me out.
yeah. as a Shetlander,
Mm-hmm.
I can contest. If I walk outside and there's not a lick of wind, I'm like,
Yeah.
we gotta figure out how to tie the bins down tonight because it's gonna hit us. It's gonna hit us big.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's always like, "Would you stop being so paranoid?" And then, of course, they just had 65 yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like all the posts of the people that were stupidly decided to camp for this bike rally. They were
Ooh.
keeping score online about how many tents survived, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
Shetland wind 26, Asda, which is our Walmart essentially,
Yeah.
tents
Oh yeah.
nil. So they were all like, all of them were looking for a hotel and stuff. They were totally screwed.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and it's lovely when you have someone that you can say, "Oh my god, I hate this." Like, and you'll understand anywhere you go, your hair's in your face,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You just.
and you're having to be like a so it's like 60-degree angle to get along the street.
Yeah.
My
And my
husband,
dog.
the first time he met me, I did that, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, if you bend down, the wind doesn't get you as much."
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at me like I'm nuts, And then the icy wind came around the corner and it hit him, and he took 2 steps back, and he's like, "Okay." So he was like 6'2" guy, bent
Yeah.
over at 60-degree angle, and we're just like running along the street together. Yeah,
Oh, the cold wind. Oh, that one's.
it is Arctic wind.
Yeah.
It's from the north, so it's
Oh
like
yeah.
not warm at all. It cuts through everything. You could have the biggest snowsuit on in the
Mm-hmm.
world, and it would cut through it,
Yeah.
like right to the bone. I have not met a jacket, a pair of trainers, or trousers that can stop it. Like,
Yeah.
it used to be that bad. When I would go to school, I'd have these baggy jeans on. But what people never realize is under those baggy jeans, Crystal had her pajama bottoms on
Uh-huh.
because it was so cold.
Yeah.
I always had a classroom that was outside. It was like
Ooh.
one of those janitorial things, like they
Mhm.
built like the shed, extra space shed thing, and that was where our English class was. Well, when you had to wait outside for the English teacher to show up, you froze because she would go to the friggin' staff room to get coffee because she'd be freezing because there was no
Mhm.
way you could heat up the classrooms, right? The classrooms
Yeah.
was cold. That was it. Like, you just had to live with it. And so she would bugger off, and then we'd all be standing outside like, body heat, we're all
Oh yeah.
like the only time that we're all kind of nice to each other is because we're all huddled together, kind of like saving body heat. And then she'd come, and my English teacher reminded me of Jemima Puddle Duck. Don't ask me why she waddled, and she sounded like she was quacking when she talked, so she was Jemima Puddle Duck in my head, and I could never replace that. And she'd come down to where the classroom was, and she would waddle the whole way, and we'd all be
Mhm.
standing there staring daggers of death at her because we were all like convinced we were going to lose appendages.
Yeah.
That's maybe where my incessant needing to hug people comes from. That I need to share body heat.
Must find warmth. Must seek it.
Must be. Like, because I'll say to all my friends, like, "Can I hug you?" And they're like, "Let me think about it." Like, and my in-laws, they were not huggers. They are now. They've had me for, like, God, it must have been, like, what, 14, 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
So they're well and truly used to Crystal running up and going, "Hey!"
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I think all Shetlanders are secretly huggers because we're all searching for that little bit extra warmth they had stolen from us. I loved LA because I literally just lay outside in front of the pool going, ah.
Yeah.
My husband's like, "It's too hot," and I'm like, ah.
There is no
We
winter.
go the other way. We don't feel the heat as bad.
Ugh.
Oh dear.
I have to learn to pivot. Sorry, go ahead.
You've learned to pivot?
Well, like, because it can go from
Oh yeah, the
50
hot to the
to
cold,
like
yeah.
100, like overnight. So you kind of almost have to train your body. Okay, summer's here, but then if it does this like evil thing and drop back down, it's so much
Yep.
worse. It's It's like, no, no.
Come back when the worms come back. I know that feeling. So, what was like, because you said Yellowstone earlier, and it's kind of gotten me thinking of Yellowstone Ranch. So have you seen that TV series?
No, I don't have. I think it's Paramount.
Oh, is that what it is on?
I think that one's on Paramount Plus.
I'm not sure.
It's on one of the streaming services I don't have. I know that much.
I just know that, like, my hubby was like, oh, we've got to watch this. It's got horses in it. And he sold me on horses.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it, and I'm like, wow. This family literally tries to die at the end of every season. Like, huh?
That's
Why
what I've
do they
heard.
keep trying to die? Like, people, it's not them trying to die. People are trying to blow them up, shoot them, you know? And I'm just thinking to myself, what do you guys do that makes people hate you so much? Like, huh? So yeah, I got into it because of that. But
I did hear they're going to do like a Bass Reeves story. That one I'm interested in.
Yeah, I heard that too. Actually,
It's like, I don't know how there hasn't been a Bass Reeves like movie. It's like he's the basis of the Lone Ranger. How has no one done anything with this?
Very true, actually. I think you mentioned that. I meet one of my producers from LA. I might mention that. I'm sure they'll pat me on the back and say thanks for the idea, Crystal. So when you go to like the bookshops and online bookstores, is there like a genre that just sort of you feel drawn to, that you feel dragged to?
I am definitely I love historical, which I find kind of funny because I will never write historical because they are like, especially Regency, they are rabid. It's like, no. I'm not diving into that mess, but I love history. I used to kind of not like fantasy, and then I read Lord of the Rings, which is more historical, I would argue. Honestly, yeah. It's like a history, but then there's elves. And I've always loved learning about past stuff and that kind of thing. And then I also like, I guess, kind of trope breaking fantasy and paranormal. So there needs to be something a little different or new kind of to it, or just like funny.
I could go with funny. Yeah.
I like the little, like, I guess, funny asides or just jokes sort of worked in, or anything mythological. I really love diving into mythology. I've been weirdly binging like Hades stuff lately because I got Hades Town, the musical. I've been listening to that a lot. I've been playing the game Hades. It's sort of my like de-stressing thing. That just if I need some time off, just go in, beat up a bunch of dead people, fight my dad, go back.
I like that whole sort of scheme and concept that you did there. I'm a gamer too, so like every morning I game a little bit before I get started. I play League of Legends. No, I will not tell my listeners what my username is because I do not want stopped and told how awful I am at the game because I know how bad I play it. So shh. Yeah. But no, like I have to do that. I have to have that period where I just game with friends and I talk about crap and they talk about crap, and you just kind of have that. I always say that little slow introduction to the day.
Yeah.
It saves you diving in like feet first. I do get writing ideas like that means I can't go straight on and talk to them. So I'll go on and I'll write or whatever, 1,000 words or 1,500 words or whatever it is, and then I'll say, okay, I'm done for today, and then I'll go watch stuff, and then I'll sit and talk to them and play League, and maybe consider doing housework, which my mother always says, did you do your housework today? Do I tell her the truth, or do I tell her that I got the robotic Hoover to do it? Those kind of moments. I'm actually still trying to talk hubby into getting us a dishwasher, even though it'll sit on top of my counter. But if I have a dishwasher, I don't have to wash dishes. So,
I lived in a place with one of those. They're still really nice. I mean, it's in the way, but
I love it. My mom and dad have one, and he thinks it doesn't wash the dishes, so this is the argument,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh.
I need it because I'm a writer, and if I forget to do the dishes, I feel bad. And then if
Mm-hmm.
somebody comes around the house, I feel extra guilty because it's like the big pile of laundry on the tumble dryer, and then you've got the dishes in the sink, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was kind of writing today and forgot about the house. I like to be able to forget about the house and just do my thing. Um, but unfortunately, I stay at home, so I have to do the house.
Mm-hmm. My
But
in-laws
how?
are so weird. Like they would keep chips and things in their dishwasher. So my husband actually had no
Why?
idea how to use one. Like we've always had one, but I had to
Yeah.
teach him totally how to use one because they just never used theirs. They would use it as storage. Yeah.
Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah,
Kind
it
of
was
worried about
interesting.
them, but that's a new one.
I guess his dad would just like wash every plate once he was done with it. Like it was kind of his thing. So they never
Yeah.
used it. So then they just started using it as storage.
Gosh, I'd have loved a husband like my husband to do that. I find like he likes sharing his breakfast with my cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not as gross as people are thinking it is, okay, people? Not promise you as gross as you think it is. So he'll eat his Weetabix, and then there'll be like a little bit of Weetabix at the bottom with milk and a little bit of sugar. And he puts it on the floor, and my cat eats it. Like, just cleans the entire bowl. Or at least leaves like a rim of like Weetabix around the top. And if you know
Mm-hmm.
anything about Weetabix, is if it dries out, it goes like cement, right? It goes like cement.
Yeah.
So it's a nightmare to get off of your plate. And so I always find a little stack of like
Ooh.
bowls. See if I'm not been around for like a week. There'll be like 4 or 5 bowls stacked up next to his chair, and I'll be like, seriously, like, could you not have like washed that? So then I have to like take it into like the good old kitchen and just scrub it with like a spoon and hope it comes off.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I hate the squeaky noise it makes, but you have to do it, and that's what I say to him, like, please do your dishes.
My husband's weird thing, he used to be like he couldn't stand any like open surface. So he would just put things there even if it didn't he just needed to fill it. But then over COVID, he started baking a lot and that kind
Yeah.
of taught him that you need to leave the kitchen counter clean so you can do stuff. So like now luckily it's always like clean or he'll clean it and he'll put the dishes away cuz he started baking, so he was always in the kitchen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Darn, I wish I had. I wish I'd encouraged him that way. He ended up doing like all the housework for my mom, like
Mm-hmm.
all the housework, not housework, but like fixing the house.
Fixing,
Like, she
yeah.
was bad at breaking everything, like bad at breaking everything. Um, so I used to laugh and go, okay, well maybe Ian could fix it. So he had to fix a door, he had to fix a window, he had to fix another glass door because she was constantly like, she slams everything. That's how you
Mm-hmm.
know where she is in the house, because you can literally hear her slamming the doors, and she doesn't
Mhm.
mean to. It's just that's what she does. She's just really noisy. But it kind of got to the point where he was actually having to fix the entire house, and so I kind of wish I had been a bit more like, yeah, come on, like, let's go bake or something. But he's not very artsy and crafty, so yeah, I guess he just ended up doing all the.
Doing
He ended
that.
up in the woodwork workshop. Ooh, my
Mm.
threads were flying everywhere. So like, it had a big setup where everything was there. There was a cutter and there was a grinder and sander. It had like everything he could possibly want, and he just
Mhm.
kept taking my mom down there. And they built birdhouses and flower boxes and whatever she wanted, he taught her. And it was just like, dude, hello, I'm still cleaning up your mess.
The
So
stuff
yeah,
that
in his own
happens-
way, that's what he does.
Yeah.
But no. So writing.
Okay, writing.
Our
Actually,
favorite subject.
It's funny bringing up video games because I actually kind of got my start writing romance from video games.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Very
I'm
interesting.
I'm big into Dragon Age, the like fantasy
Ah,
RPG. Yeah,
yes, I
like
know that one.
want to hear about DA4? Anyway, I'd written just regular uh, sci-fi before, sci-fi and fantasy, and
Yeah.
I started writing some fanfic for Dragon Age. And I'd never really done pure romance. I didn't think I could do it, honestly. But the
I think we
fanfic
all
started,
thought that before we did it, yeah.
yeah. It's like it's always funny when you try and write your first kiss. Like you're just sweating and so nervous and awkward as hell.
It's
And
so
you're
funny,
just
we talked about that before we started recording too.
so
But yeah, I know what
awkward.
you feel like.
Yeah.
I did mine today and I was like, sauna.
Hmm.
Like, just felt like I was in a sauna till I got it finished. So yeah, trust me, I have those feels for you.
You got to overcome the awkwardness, and then you start like, okay, maybe I can actually do a sex scene. Okay, maybe I can do an open door sex scene, and then you
Hmm.
start getting to like crazy stuff over and over time, and you feel less
Yep.
awkward, and
It goes easier and easier.
yeah. Soon you're writing like super steamy scenes while you're like in laws or a room over because you got to get it done.
Yeah, no, I used to forget that is in my mom and dad's house when I was doing it. I had to because it was like the only way I could. So yeah, no, I have that. Or riding it on a public ferry and you're thinking, wow, if
Hmm.
only they knew what they were walking by.
Yeah, you have no idea.
So how do you go about creating the obstacles for your storylines? Like what how do you get yourself in that mindset of I'm going to put this obstacle in or use this
Some
obstacle for this story?
I do almost most of my planning while walking my dog. Like that weirdly helps
Oh,
me. I'm doing something, but my brain is shut off, and I absolutely, I can't get online. I can't feel like I have to do this other thing. I'm walking my dog, and my brain is free to think. Like sometimes I can do that with cleaning, but not always. Like my brain just,
I can't do
but
that with cleaning.
yeah, I
I
really can't
tried.
either.
It just doesn't work. I have
Yeah.
to have a podcast or something on. I just
Hmm.
I fell asleep once cleaning. That's when I learned I had to like have a podcast. Because like my brain gets like bored, it puts me to
Yeah.
sleep. Because it's like, oh, you've got some free time. Sleep. And I'm like, no. Because like obviously with me having idiopathic rheumatoid arthritis is everything I do tires me out.
Hmm.
Like it's crazy. Like I could go for a bath and it would be like I'd run a marathon. Some
Yeah.
days. Like you just never know from one day to the next how you're gonna feel. And I kind of joke with my hubby about that. I'm like, I said, in a way, I'll be the wussiest mom ever when I finally do have my first kid
Hmm.
because like I'll have that almost 9 months of no condition and I'll be super kind of active and mobile and stuff. And then I'll have the kid and I'll have like those few months of extra like pleasure of no tiredness and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'll go woof and it'll hit me like a ton of bricks and the condition's back and everything. Um but no, like even doing something as simple as standing and washing a few dishes, it's like yeah, it's like I've walked 3-4 miles.
Yeah. It's like
It's
your
just
immune
that
system is like beating you up
yeah,
internally. Yeah.
constantly eating on mine eats things.
Hmm.
So it's always away doing something. It's never completely gone in a way.
Yeah.
Like I think it was 10 years ago it had eaten through my jaw joints and they broke.
Ooh.
They actually shattered like glass. So I had to get them replaced. But
Hmm.
there's always complications when they do that for people with my type of disease. So I found out I'm one in a million people who actually can have sepsis grow on her jaw replacements or on
Oh.
a joint replacement.
Yeah.
So I'm at high sepsis risk. So anytime I get sick, if it's a viral thing, I have to watch
Hmm.
because I have to make sure that it doesn't turn into something. And it's like, really? Can I not get a break? Can honestly to God, can medicine not give me a break? Like seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
gaming is good for me because in a way I don't have to physically do much.
Yeah.
like it's not as stressful for me, and it's maybe why I played a lot of cards as a kid because it was like I wasn't going to be sore afterwards. I wasn't going to be tired afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and I could play them tired too, which was handy. Except for my granddad hated that because I caught him cheating all the time. He was an awful cheat. Like he wasn't even subtle about it. What inspired you to enter the genres with your own voice? Like what drew you to writing your kind of romance, your kind of stories?
um, I think I just wanted to do. I always want to do someone different, like interesting and funny, and sort of, I guess, my own sarcasticy kind of take on life, and have fun with it. I also like to kind of dive into things I know. I'm a weird sponge with just random facts and things I like to find out about. I think that's also why I gravitate towards mythology because there's so much out there and there's so many interesting, weird things to learn about. And then you can
No, I get
incorporate
that.
it back in. And like, I really have fun with the Coven of Desire book because my favorite thing is when I need like fun monsters for them to run into, I specifically go out and look for lesser known ones. So it's not always
All
the
right.
same. Like, now my brain can't think of anything. But you
Oh
run
no,
into
it's
the.
fine. Like I write mythology too. When I wrote Carla, it was based on the mythology I grew up with, and
Hmm.
that was Viking mythology and Norse mythology, and I learned stories that hadn't been told before, and I went with those, and I looked for, you know, trusted little things that I could twist and turn and make work for me or
Yeah.
make it interesting. And I do that with anything. Like I was working on a book, and it's called it's basically Celtic mythology invades spreading California.
Oh.
Um, it's got Selkies and werewolves and
Hmm.
witches and angels and all this sort of stuff to it, and it's just things that you would not think about, like mythology wise. You wouldn't expect Celtic mythology to suddenly turn up in Redding,
Yeah.
California, for instance.
Like in my Whisper book, I've always loved kelpies. I don't know. It's one of those things I'm just absolutely fascinated with. I love the idea of a sticky horse that drowns people. Anyway. In Whisper, I specifically used a kelpie by turning it into like an Uber ride. So it had to change with the time. So it kind of pretended to be a horse, or not a horse, a car, and then you get in the like car, and then it drives you into the lake in order to eat you.
Oh, okay. I like that. And that is very new. I go with that. Okay. I like to see where you're going with that one. I must admit, I'll definitely be checking that out. But mythology writing is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you like a lot of room to wiggle about in and just play about with things. So when you write, is it like a movie in your head, or is it just like a jigsaw puzzle you need to put together?
Um, I feel like it's almost like I'm watching two people like do things. Like I definitely have a habit of I'll try and kind of put my characters like, okay, you're going in this like scene. You're going here. I'm putting you in this little box. And now I'm going to let you
Yeah.
go and see what the heck happens. And
Okay.
it
I'd say that's a very interesting take on.
it can be dangerous. Like I'm currently working on an Arbor Day sort of reverse harem, which I'm basically the three guys are all dryads. So
Ah,
I
okay.
wanted to play with that because they're like tree people. Which yeah, it's been interesting. It went from like, oh, it'll be a cute kind of funny book to like super expanding out where it's almost becoming more epic fantasy romance, which I'm like, great, this is getting a lot longer than I thought it'd be.
But that's a good thing because it means that your
Yeah.
characters are wanting to develop more and wanting to show their readers more, and that's kind of cool actually.
Yeah.
That's
They,
something to be proud of.
usually when I write, I try to have the main like plot points in my head. It's the middle part where I'll kind of let them play around, but it's like, here's where we're starting, here's where we're ending. You get there however you want. But with this book, it's been swerving so hard. I'm just like, all right, I'll see where this is going.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to like ditch the outline and go, okay, I'll just follow the characters on this one. They'll tell me where it needs to go
Hmm.
or what they want to do. I do that with Marie's World. I have like outlined so many different paths and stories for her. And then when I come to write it, usually she says, "Nope, we're doing it this way."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I just spend like 4 weeks freaking plotting out the other thing?
Um,
Cheers.
when I'm building characters, I'll do this thing where I'll kind of like play with them in my head. Like I'll sort of listen to their dialogue and think what I want them, how do you sound? But
Yeah.
I really don't know them until I write them. That's when they really get their voice. So it's always one of those things where it's like I don't know who they are until I write them.
Okay. That is kind of interesting. I normally have people that come on and they'll be like, oh yeah, like I sit and, I either pants it or like I, religiously draw it out. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
well, I plot it, but then I just follow it.
Yeah.
I don't put the rigidness in it that I
Yeah.
think other people really do. And then I feel like a bad writer in a way because I'm like hearing all this like amazing conversation about how they have a worth ethic and this is how they deal with it and how they work with it and what they expect from their characters and all this sort of stuff. And then I
Yeah.
think to myself, wow, I'm lazy. Like
I
I
hate
don't
writing
do any of
outlines.
that.
I don't like to do it because I think my brain is like, oh, we wrote the outline, therefore we wrote the book. We're done. And it's like, no, no, you need to write the book.
I do know that feelings as well. My books get deleted as soon as they're done. So if I'm writing the next one in the series, I actually do have to go back and like I make notes though when I'm writing
Oh,
the
yeah.
book on the sides. So like I'll be like, oh, this is a thread I'm pulling into the next, so I don't have to reread the novel before.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that too.
And
Cause, yeah,
it's
it's,
otherwise like I'd read the book so many times. Like I
yeah.
literally had to do that with when I was doing the book tour. I actually reread Marie's World, the first one,
Hmm.
and second one was already out. Like it was already like ready to go. So I ended up writing one of the other characters' books, and yeah, Ian knew that book so well by the end of that trip. He hated me. Like literally, he was driving and I was practice reading to him because I have dyslexia. So if I don't practice reading it, I can't do it. But I
Hmm.
can't reread the same passage because then my brain starts to try and like say, "Oh yeah, this is what I remember," but it's not what was on the page. It's
Yeah.
just edited whatever I've decided to read. So for him, I had to like get him to drive, and then I was like reading the book to him, and then he would hear it read again at the
Hmm.
signing. So it was almost like he was going, oh, "Damn it, I know this book better than anybody here." Like he actually had an argument with somebody. He's like, "I know this book. I know these characters." And this kind of girl turned to him and she goes, "You can't know it better than I do." And I felt like saying, yeah, he's lived through the writing process. He's lived through me talking about his characters. He's lived through like a lot of this story, and I'm thinking he's just gonna lose this argument. Like, and he hates to be wrong. He
Yeah.
hates it. Like he has to be right. So yeah, he did challenge her a little bit on it, but I thought it was funny. I did. I couldn't help myself. I still feel really bad though. Like if I have a reader and then they're all like, "Oh, we know the book so well," and I'm thinking, no, you don't.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever like someone tells you the way your character should act, you're just like, okay,
Yeah, I have those. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I'm with
yeah,
you on that. It's not like I can like physically grab Marie and say, "Hey, you're doing this,"
yeah,
because
yeah.
she'd
Oh
tell
my
me
god.
to,
Mm-hmm.
ride a bike, and I don't think like I mean Harold's a perfect example. If you ever get to meet Harold in the Marie's World series, he's this really kind of really wealthy character, and he's very opinionated, and he thinks that
Mm-hmm.
everything should be done his way, and it's either his way or the highway, and
Yeah.
and very controlling. And I'm thinking to myself like they have no idea how hard it is to write him. Like He will
Yeah.
walk into something else I'm
Oh.
writing and just be like,
Oh.
I want it now. And I'm like, oh, fudge.
Oh.
Okay.
When you have those characters and they have to do like an important like exposition or they have to say something and you just
Mm-hmm.
want to like strangle them because they
Yep.
won't. They will just do whatever they want. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes ask if I specifically like plan out jokes and stuff, and it's like, no, I almost never do. I always just let like ink go off. He says whatever he wants, whenever he
Yep.
wants, and everybody else just reacts. I never. If I do go
That's
in
what
with
makes it funny.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like if I do go in with a joke I thought of, 9 times out of 10, I either don't include it or I cut it later. Like they're never
Yeah,
that good.
because it never works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because the scene will twist under you, and it's like this doesn't even
yeah,
make
and
sense.
then,
Why would anybody say this now?
yeah, and then you lose your footing, and then you lose your place, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, yeah. I've been there. That's why I have notes. Like, I will bullet point my entire story, but that's not because I'm being anal. It's because I need a place to turn back to if I hit a brick wall,
Yeah.
or if something totally derails me, like the doctor phones, or I have to go get bloods done for an emergency purpose, or something along. It'll be something stupid, but
Oh yeah.
something happens that totally derails me, and I'll be like, oh, balls, where was I? And
Mm-hmm.
then I have to look it up. Like, that's the only reason I do the bullet points. Bullet points are handy because you can almost, you're not writing the book, you're just literally like, oh, I can do that, oh, I can do this. So you're almost like saving yourself a little bit of
Yeah.
hassle, but at the same time, it's like, I gotta make sure that I don't stray too far. That when I do go back to the bullet points, it doesn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
and people can tell, you know.
Yeah.
And also, you were like a big, huge reason I wanted to do the podcast was with you, because I was like, oh, if anyone will understand my characters, it'll be her, because she looks like she has the same painful characters I do.
Yes. Oh, they do whatever they want, and you're like, okay, fine, I'll fix your mess later.
Yeah, like, you know, or I'll buy the straight jacket later.
Mm-hmm.
Just give them a big smile, like, yeah. I've done that. Like, I've thought of, I had to do, I hope this is probably a spoiler, so people, if you do not want to hear a part of Marie's World, The Aftermath, please mute your podcast now for approximately 2 minutes. Marie's World, at the end of the second book, she gets her ass beat. Like, she gets in a fight that she can't win. She knows that she can't win it, but she takes it anyway. Because she's like one of these really stubborn ass people that just says, I can do it. But it's also kind of like a humbling situation for her. And I'm not promoting like violence against women, but it was really to like humble her in a way that she was like, okay, I can wrestle, I can do all this stuff, but I also have to remember that I've got a very neurotic husband who wants to control my life and parts of my life, and you know, this everything's going to relate to him, and I have to live by his rules. So, and it drives her in a way to rebel, and it drives her in a way to undo him and undo all the stuff that he has essentially put in place. But I had to do that kind of beating, and it was like in the back of my head, like, I gotta beat you up, I don't want to beat you up, I gotta beat you up, I don't want to do it. Like, I went back and forth on that so many times that she was almost like just making it okay for me to do it. Like, I almost felt that, like, oh, okay, like she's saying this is okay for me to do it, like that kind of calm moment, almost like, oh, okay, you're letting me beat you up. Oh, that's a relief. Like, why did I just give myself 2 minutes of child like labor for like no reason? You know, like she understood why it was being done. Almost.
Yeah,
like my character was kind of connecting with me, making me feel. And now I sound like a crazy person, but making me feel like it was okay to do it. If it doesn't feel right for the story, I won't do it. Like, I will fight it. Yeah. And I've been in positions where publishers have said, yeah, you know, you gotta change this and you gotta change that. Yeah, it kind of kills me.
Yeah.
Kills me to do it, but sometimes you have to do it. And
Yeah.
for me, like hers was definitely the hardest. Okay, you guys can unmute now.
Safe.
I've had my
good.
moan about the series. You're totally gonna come off this and be like, I gotta go read her series now. It's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's not more than 4 books. Promise. 4 books. But no, like, who would ever think twin sisters turning on each other, publishing diaries? I thought it was a good idea. Which character have you written that you would say has stayed with you the most or the longest?
Probably still Ink. I think he probably. Well, I mean, I'm still writing him, so it's like I don't know how easily to say that he's still staying with me because I still have to write him. But
yeah,
he's very easy in a way because he can just do whatever he wants. Which right. I've actually. It's been interesting because he started out. I've been humbling him in a way as it goes on. It's like, okay, well, technically when this comes out, it won't be too many spoilers. But in Badge, he puts on. He's an incubus and a demon. He's mostly indestructible because of that. His greatest fear is being taken back to hell, but that can only happen if Layla dies, that he's bound to. So he's mostly fine as long as he protects her. But she's been kidnapped, so he has to save her. And the only way for him to get into the witch hunter's realm is by becoming mortal. So for the first time in his entire long life, he has to face possible death. Like he feels pain and suffering, and he's doing all of this to save her. But then he comes out of it trying to act like he was fine. Like he can't admit that it's changed him. He's still that like cocky, bastard kind of inside a little bit, but he's not sure, oh crap, I might have the feels.
That's Marie in like a whole description there. Like I was like, oh, Ink and her would get on great. We should do crossover, like he meets her randomly and he's like, oh dear God, what's this? That would be funny actually.
Yeah. Gonna go off and just start all the fires.
Oh, she would. Oh my God. She has no filter, people. Mm-hmm. Like Marie, no filter. Layla, a little bit of filter, but with like a cutting sarcasm that leaves you with holes. Mm-hmm. Literal holes. Like Layla's a bit more kind of quiet, deadly.
Yeah, that's kind of Daniel. He's sort of that way. Like him and Ink butt heads all the time because in a way they're almost a little too alike. So they just get on each other's nerves.
You would love Will and Edward. Will wants to bang everything, and Edward is mentally banging you. So, there's that. Like, you can tell, like, Layla's stuck between the two brothers, and then Marie, you find out she's stuck between two brothers, and you're like, girls, would you stop sharing experiences? Like, I have a co-author who I fight with on a lot of these different things, and I swear he's like, he reins me in because a lot of my story ideas, they don't just go to the edge of the cliff. No, we go right off the edge of the cliff. And he's like the hand that comes out and grabs the back of my jeans and like pulls me back in. I probably couldn't do that the Layla series without him at all. Like,
yeah.
He's total like, okay, remember this is the good girl. You're not writing the bad one. We all have those.
Yeah.
Is there a character that you wish you could have written more about?
Let me think. It's funny because in my brain, it's like I always kind of make extra stories for characters. Like, even if I don't write them, my brain just likes to go back and play with them. I weirdly would like to go back and write more of Tristan from Pride and Pancakes. Because he was sort of a fun take on Darcy where he was aloof and kept to himself and but he kind of he had a reason for it where he spent his not childhood, but like teenage years being this like musician heartthrob that got pushed into the spotlight even though he's very much an introvert and hated it. But he wanted to write music, sing, it was the only way to get in there, but it kind of broke him. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun to get in his head and come back to him.
There is always that one character that feels like you're putting on a nice like winter robe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that. Like I love that feeling of just coming home. And the more older I get, like the more the books are starting to feel like that, and they're starting to feel less like a chore.
Yeah.
What techniques have you found helpful, and what's the ones that you wish that you just never had tried?
I'm quickly becoming against the idea that you absolutely have to write every day. Like I
Oh,
started
okay.
writing with Nano, and you're pretty much like you should write every day no matter what. But I
Yep.
found that my brain needs breaks, and if I
Hmm.
don't take those breaks, then it becomes so much more of a chore to write. So if I
Yeah.
actually tell myself, okay, we're just going to take a day off. We're going to take a Saturday. We're going to take maybe a whole weekend, and it'll give your brain a chance to like process where you want to go. I'll kind of like play through scenarios that, I might put my characters through. I might not put my characters through. Do I think the scene will work? Do I think that maybe like the reader's attention is dropping at this point? How do I want to balance it all? And it's like, if it works for you, that's great, but you don't have to write every day. Like, if you
I
want to be
think
an author,
yeah, like you don't have to. I agree with that. I What I do for Nano, which I think is really bad, is if I know that I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off, I will
mm-hmm,
write extra word count.
mm-hmm,
Bless you. My cat sneezed. So I'll like take extra time on the Friday and I'll do like extra wordage. On Thursday, Friday, I'll do extra wordage to cover the
yeah,
weekend. So that I don't feel that sense of guilt that I'm going off to do other things, and it kind of rewards me. Like, or if I'm going in a long trip in the car, I'll take the computer and then I'll just write in the car because I can't do anything else in the car. So
mm-hmm,
I read or I write or I might sew. And Ian thinks it's crazy, but it makes me feel like I'm not slurking my lifestyle
yeah,
or my duty. Um,
yeah. It's
I know,
so
like I
hard
know how you mean. Yeah.
because it's like you're always fighting the clock. Like, there's
Yeah.
always so many ideas you want to write, and there's just not enough time. There's never enough
It's the
time.
same as reading, though, too. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many books you want to read, but you just don't have the time to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and before I forget, if you love Jane Austen, you should try Emily Brunton. She did the book called Self Control.
Okay.
It is the very book that inspired Jane Austen.
Okay.
And, everyone says that they fall in love with Jane Austen for the wit
Mm-hmm.
that she has and the sarcasm she has. This is the book that actually made her go right that way. I was reading it and I was like, oh my god, that's Jane. Like, this is
Yeah.
like taking Jane out and sticking it. Like, I was totally and utterly admiring her for this
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking that's where she's gotten this from. That's like
Mm-hmm.
where she's realized the style is okay. So yeah, before I
Yeah.
forget, that's one.
It's funny that you say about her style being okay because that was something I fought for a long time. Like,
Yeah,
I always had this like humorous, sarcastic side, but when you're going through school, you're like, no, every writing piece has to be serious. It has to be like super serious and drama and all this stuff. And my brain just does not want to do that. And I finally let myself like, no, I'm gonna be funny. I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna have fun asides. I'm gonna have like quippy characters. I'm gonna do whatever I want. And it was
yeah,
so
and that's the thing.
freeing.
You can as an author.
Mm-hmm.
Do it all. That's the great thing. And if you don't have a publisher to worry about, and you don't have that kind of pressure, I
Yeah.
call it the person peeking over your shoulder all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's good, and it can give you that relief and that break to just do what you want and believe in what you're writing. So I like that. Now on to your life.
My
All
life.
I want to know about your life,
The life.
my dear.
Okay.
Yes, my dear. What is the first thing that you do when you want to de-stress from editing and writing? What is it that you choose?
Oh, I definitely game. I load up one of my favorite games and I just stab people that annoy me.
You are going to have to get off League of Legends at some point and try it out and tell me what you think. Like, you send me an email like, in a week's time after you've played it for a week, and then just like tell me what you think. Because like, the ones that you said in this podcast, it's so funny because they tie into League. So a lot of the people that played those games end up playing League. So
that's the one that's tied to Arcane, right?
Yeah.
I loved Arcane. That one was so good. That
Jinx is actually as funny in the game as she is in the show. So she gets played a lot for that reason. And Caitlyn's the same way. Like, you get Caitlyn as well, and it's like, oh, funny. So yeah.
Victor was when I was like, oh yeah, my weird thing also is like skinny nerds, like.
Yeah. Jinx is definitely a skinny nerd. I will give you that. I love that. So what hobbies do you enjoy? And is there ones that you wish you could have explored more?
I am very much a crafting person. So my husband and I are big into Halloween, and we'll actually make our own like tombstones and like skeleton props and like corpse breaking things. And we made a bunch of kind of things that are fun to fit in. We've got like a dragon cave and stuff like that. I also used to do painting, I used to do trees mostly. I like trees.
Yeah.
Which I always find funny because I live in Nebraska and we have like no trees. All the trees we have, you had to be planted.
Yeah, in Shetland we have no trees.
Yeah, it's the wind and there's just like no trees.
Kills the trees. Yeah. Totally get it. And I mean, that's what the salt in Shetland's air kills our trees. But yeah, I totally get it. Like the wind pushes them down all the time. And it's like, just you feel like it's an uphill battle for no reason. So, are you like, because you've said you're crafting, like what is there like other crafts that you try or other creative things that you do to clear your mind?
I will, sorry, voice is going.
That's okay.
I will do pretty much anything. Like if something catches my eye, I've made soap before. Like we used to do little like kind of fun little body shaped soaps. For a while, my husband would do the sculpt, and then I'd pour them and make the soaps themselves. I've done pyrography for a little while. I kind of want to get back into that one. That one was fun. That's where you burn images onto pieces of wood. So it kind of combines my love of like fire and the smell of like wood and all that stuff. It's sort of like I get an idea in my head of something I want, and then I just figure out how to do it.
No, I get that. I totally get that. I love it too. Like I wish I could do the wood stuff as well, but I've never had the opportunity to try it. So I myself have like a long-term illness, as everyone here on the show knows, and it makes me slow down. It makes me appreciate the day and my cats and my husband. What would you say is the thing that makes you stop and smell the roses?
Like, actually, funny enough, I have not nowhere near as bad as you. I have a food allergy that has been just destroying me lately. It took me a long time to get a handle on it. Yeah, because it's nightshades. So it's not common, but it's kind of in everything. And I have to be very, very, very careful, and it can catch me, and it will just knock me down for days, and there's nothing you can do. Like, you're in so much pain, and again, it's always funny with having an allergy attack where they don't go, everyone always thinks it's just anaphylactic shock or hives, but it's like, no, it's like your body just fought the flu. Like, your body just did this, like, super knockdown fight against you. And so you have to recover from that part for like a week. And
I get it, because on top of this disease, I also have food allergies too.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't eat sweet corn or maize syrup or maize oil, which is in everything.
Oh, yeah, you got corn. Oof.
Yeah, and I've got paprika and chili, so that's out. And mushrooms, they're out. So you can see how limited my food choices are.
Yeah.
So if I get it, and also I can't have cumin, which is in curry powder. So I can't even go to an Indian for a decent curry because I'm not allowed curry and I'm not allowed coconut milk or kiwis because I'm allergic to latex. And I'm like, seriously? Do you want to just put me in a bubble? Like,
Oh, I
come on.
know.
But no, I get it. Food allergies is no joke, and I grew up with a guy who was allergic to oranges and sunlight.
Mm.
So there was a lot of times that he would get caught with the orange thing because it would be orange oil
Mhm.
in it or something like that. And literally, I was in the same class with him. He was also allergic to bees and wasps and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I'd just get told by the teacher, "Can you do his anaphylactic, pen?" Because
Yeah.
I was the only person in the whole school that knew how to use it. So
Mhm.
like somebody would phone up and shout, "Can we get Crystal to come up here because he's going into one?" And I'd be like, "Really?" And it wasn't they couldn't do it. It was more because like there were several of them that was nervous about doing it. So
Yeah.
I would just pull the pen, stab him with it. He was good. Pull it back out, dump it. End of story. Um,
Mhm.
he used to hate seeing me come. He's like, "Oh God." Like, I think even to this day, he still flinches every time he sees me. He's like, I'm
Oh
not gonna
no.
stab you. Like, not every time you see me, this is the abject thing that's gonna happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, I think he must like seen me as the angel of death or something. The joy of being a medical know-it-all. So, where's your favorite place to curl up during the day? Do you like a garden? Do you have a reader's nook? Or do you like to go to a cafe? Where do you like to just curl up and read?
I have like I like my couch, and we've had a fireplace for a little while, but one Christmas I really wanted one of those like electric heater fire things that you can put in there.
Yeah,
So then I can just turn that on and pretend that there's fire, and like the rare times I really love autumn and fall and when there's rain coming down and you got like a
yeah,
little coffee, just that's that's all I want. You can
yeah.
hear
No,
the
I
rain
know that.
outside. Like, oh, I
I
love
loved it.
water.
Yeah, my parents had one of those open fires burners that they had in their house, and I
Mhm.
didn't realize I loved it till like last year. And it was February, and it was snowing a lot, and I liked watching the snow coming down outside and having the crackling of the peat and the wood
Mhm.
burning, and I would read in the living room, and then they would come in and they would destroy the harmony and the peace and quiet. But for those little while I used to get peace and quiet, I would try and like read, or I would try and write because I loved that
Mhm.
atmosphere it would give me, and I don't have a reader's nook where I'm now, so like it's like the bath in my bed.
Yeah.
But in my next house, I hope that like we have enough space that I can create this little nook that I can curl up in and just go
Mhm.
peace and quiet. I was hoping to buy some outdoor furniture this year, but my garden's like this. Well, technically
Mm.
like that. So it's like a
Yeah.
weird sort of
Yes.
angled slope, and it goes into the water because we got a burn that runs around our house. So our little
Mhm.
house is like a moat. It's like a moat because it's got the burn running all the way around it. It's weird. Like I keep having images of like my house just like breaking away from the rest of the town and just sliding down the hill. Yeah, I get some really weird ass dreams sometimes. What can I say? So yeah, mental
Yeah.
note done. I can't be without the oceans. I think that's where part of that is. So on to the word game, which is the part that everybody has a laugh and a joke about because they get to hear the randomness of me, but also the randomness of my guests. Now, if you can guess the theme of this at the end, I'll give you top marks because most people don't pick up that there's a theme. So it'll be interesting to see what you think and if you can
Okay.
catch it. So your first word is autumn.
Halloween.
Leather.
Lace.
Okay. Saddles.
Mm. Horse.
Girths. In case you don't know what that is the strap that goes from one side of the saddle under the belly of the horse to the other side.
Withers.
Ooh, okay. Bridles. Again,
Block.
that's the part that holds your
Yeah.
reins to the horse.
I say block because I
I,
used
I
to be in a club called Block and Bridle.
oh, okay. Soap.
Leather.
Okay.
Thinking of
boot
leather oil.
polish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Boot polish.
Black.
Right, so did you figure out my little theme?
English?
Yeah, horses with English
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like Americans don't call a lot of the things I've just explained as same terminology as we do. You guys have an American style of writing, but no,
Yeah.
I kind of when I sort of like looked you up and stuff, I had this idea of, if we got teleported back in time randomly for no reason, then we would end up in this beautiful pasture riding horses and going for picnics and staying in a really big romantic house. So I don't know why, but that was my impression of you. And I have to say, you lived up to that.
Yay!
Which is awesome. And it has been great having you on the show today.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
I'm excited about having you back. So we can talk a bit more books, and maybe I'll have a gaming section next time.
Ooh, okay, that would be fun. I have a lot of opinions on games.
Exactly, and I can go, well, I tried this game and this game. Let's discuss.
Yes.
And also it's a really good opportunity just to have a chat with the listeners, and you never know, there might be some gaming fellows on here as well. I have a couple of friends who I game with that actually listens to the show. So, hi guys. Funny enough, most of the people I play with are men.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
I've known quite a few other authors that also game.
Oh, okay.
Romance authors specifically, actually.
Wait, I think Marie Lou does. Like, she's a fantasy author. She plays League of Legends. I don't know of anybody else, though.
I have
you and me.
One friend, Jace Carter. She plays like Mass Effect and NRPGs I do as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. We need to find more authors that game.
Yeah, just
and then
do
we
like
can have
an
a big
author
round table
guild. Yeah,
that would be awesome. Well, as I said, it's been an honor having you on. And next week, guys, you are going to be in for another treat. And we've got another author who is exceptional that you're going to want to check out.